Rain taps against my window, blurring the Seattle skyline beyond. I sit on my sofa, staring at the single chocolate cupcake on my coffee table. One unlit candle stands sadly in its center, 30 years old today, and not a single person remembers. I check my phone for the 15th time in 10 minutes. No missed calls, no messages, just the dark screen reflecting my face back at me. The clock on my wall clicks to 8 p.m. with a quiet finality. Something inside me deflates. It's official now. My milestone birthday has passed without a single word from the people who brought me into this world. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. Maybe 30 isn't that big of a deal. Maybe I should be used to this by now. But something about today feels different. Final. Somehow. Knowing it will hurt. I open Instagram. My thumb scrolls almost unconsciously until I find what I'm looking for. My sister Camille's latest post. There she is at last night's piano recital. Her fingers poised elegantly over the keys. Already 78 likes. Mom's comment appears at the top. Our shining star. Your father and I are so proud of your wonderful performance. Dad's comment follows. That's my girl. Even Mozart would be jealous. I feel that familiar tightness in my throat. 30 years of the same pattern. And it still hurts as much as the first time. Am I petty for comparing? For counting the likes? Reading the comments? Measuring my invisibility against her spotlight? Maybe I am. But the numbers don't lie. 78 people celebrated Camille's performance last night. 0 people remembered my birthday today. I close Instagram and open my camera roll. Photos of the boutique hotel redesign I completed last month fill the screen. The warm lighting. The seamless blend of modern luxury with historical elements. The project that earned me industry recognition and a substantial bonus. I scroll back further. There's a photo from last year's family dinner. The one where I announced my promotion to senior architect. Dad had looked up from his phone for exactly 3 seconds. That's nice, honey. Camille, tell us about the symphony audition. And just like that, my moment evaporated. I keep scrolling. My college graduation photo. I'm standing alone in my cap and gown. Mom and Dad had left early. Camille had a regional piano competition that same day. We're so sorry, sweetie. Mom had said on the phone. But you understand, right? This competition could change Camille's future. I'd understood. I always understood. That's what the invisible daughter does. A tear drops onto the screen, distorting the image of my greatest professional achievement. I wipe it away with my sleeve. No one's ever going to celebrate you, Emery. My voice sounds small in my empty apartment. Not the way they celebrate her. A memory surfaces. Unbidden. 10-year-old me. Waiting in our living room. Wearing the pink dress Grandma sent for my birthday. Hair carefully brushed. Smile plastered on my face. Hurry up. We can't be late for Camille's recital. Mom had rushed through the room without really seeing me. But what about my birthday party? My small voice had barely registered. Dad had patted my head absently. We'll celebrate next weekend, kiddo. We never did. I remember sitting in the concert hall, watching Camille play, watching everyone applaud, watching my parents beam with pride. The pink dress felt tight. The smile on my face felt tighter. When we got home that night, Mom had completely forgotten about the cake she'd ordered. Oh, Emery. I'm so sorry. We'll do something special next weekend, I promise. Next weekend came. Camille had another recital. The weekend after that, too. By the time anyone remembered, my birthday was a month past, and the moment had died. That was the year I learned that my milestones only mattered when they didn't conflict with Camille's, which meant they never mattered at all. I wipe away another tear, annoyed with myself. I'm 30, not 10. I shouldn't be hurting over this anymore. The cupcake sits untouched. Its chocolate frosting slightly hardened from waiting too long. I reach for it, then stop. What exactly am I celebrating? Another year of invisibility? Another milestone spent alone while my family forgets I exist? No, not this time. I open my drawer and pull out Grandma's old journal, the one she gave me before she passed. Grandma had understood. She'd seen the pattern long before I had words for it. Emery, she'd said during our last conversation, her hand trembling as she held mine. Sometimes the quietest voices carry the deepest truths. Don't let the noise of others' applause drown out your own worth. I hadn't understood what she meant then. I was only 23, still believing that if I just worked hard enough, achieved enough, my family would finally see me. Now I understand. Grandma had been trying to tell me what she'd learned herself. I flip through the pages until her careful handwriting appears. There, one sentence is written. Stillness holds deeper truth than applause ever could. I didn't understand it then. I don't fully understand it now. But something important is hidden there. I can feel it. I straighten my shoulders and open my laptop. My bank account balance appears on the screen. $97,342.16. The result of years of careful saving and last month's $68,000 bonus from the hotel project. Money no one knows about because no one has asked. Actually, that's not quite true. Dad did ask. Once, 2 weeks ago, over Sunday dinner. Camille had just mentioned needing new equipment for her home studio. Those microphones are expensive, she'd sighed. I wish I could afford the professional ones. Dad had turned to me immediately. Didn't you just finish some big project, Emery? You must have gotten a bonus. The assumption in his voice. Not, did you get a bonus? But a statement of fact, followed by the unspoken expectation. Mom had leaned forward, that familiar hopeful look in her eyes. It would be such a help to Camille. Family should support family, right? I'd frozen, my fork halfway to my mouth. They hadn't asked about the project, hadn't asked how it went, what I'd accomplished, whether I was proud of the work, just whether I had money they could redirect to Camille. I'd changed the subject, made an excuse, left early, and I decided right then that they would never know about the $68,000. Because if they knew, it wouldn't be mine. It would become Camille's new studio, Camille's new piano, Camille's next opportunity. Just like everything else in my life had always been about Camille. I stare at the numbers, my finger hovering over my phone. The thought that forms isn't about revenge. It isn't about showing them anything. It's simpler than that, and somehow more profound. I want to celebrate myself, not because no one else will, but because I deserve to. For the first time in 30 years, I want to mark this moment, my moment, in a way that feels true. Not waiting for permission, not seeking validation, just honoring the woman I've become, the work I've accomplished, the life I've built, all on my own. I press the call button. Seattle Audi, this is Trevor speaking. How may I assist you? A cheerful voice answers. Hi, I say, my voice steadier than I expected. Do you have any Q5s available? We certainly do. Several models, in fact. Were you thinking of coming in for a test drive? I look at the untouched cupcake, the dark window streaked with rain, the phone that hasn't rung all day. Actually, I'm thinking about buying one. Today. Today? Trevor sounds surprised. Well, we're open for another hour. I'd be happy to start the paperwork if you're serious. I am, I say, feeling a new determination rise within me. Very serious. I end the call and immediately doubt creeps in. Am I being impulsive? Reckless? Is this just hurt feelings making bad financial decisions? But then I look at my bank account again. Years of careful planning. A bonus I earned through talent and dedication. This isn't impulsive. This is intentional. I'm choosing to celebrate myself because I'm worth celebrating. I stand up, catching my reflection in the window. For a moment, I hardly recognize myself. The straight spine, the lifted chin, the gleam in my eyes that looks almost like defiance. If they won't celebrate me, I tell my reflection, I'll create my own ritual, my own moment of recognition, not against them. For myself, I grab my keys and wallet, leaving the sad cupcake behind. The rain has stopped, and somewhere beyond the clouds, there might even be stars. For the first time in 30 years, I'm going to give myself what I truly deserve. 40 minutes later, the Audi dealership gleams under spotlights, the showroom floor sparkling like wet pavement after rain. I push through the glass doors, my heart drumming a nervous rhythm against my ribs. A man in a crisp button-down approaches us, with the practiced smile of someone who knows how to size up a potential customer. Welcome to Seattle Audi. I'm Trevor. His handshake is firm, confident. What brings you in this evening? I called earlier about the Q5. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. I'd like to buy one. Today. Trevor blinks, surprise flickering across his face. Of course. Let me show you our selection. He leads me through a showroom of sleek vehicles that reflect the overhead lights in perfect curves. The midnight blue Q5 sits in the corner, almost watchful, as if it's been waiting for me. I run my fingers along its glossy surface, seeing my reflection distorted in the paint. A woman with purpose in her step. I can get the paperwork started if you'd like to test drive it first. Trevor offers. No need. I straighten my shoulders. This is the one. In the finance office, a woman with silver-streaked hair slides forms across a polished desk. When we reach the payment section, she looks up expectantly. How would you like to finance this purchase? I'll be putting down $60,000 cash. The words feel strange in my mouth. I'll finance the remainder. The finance manager's eyebrows rise slightly, a micro expression of surprise I've grown accustomed to spotting. People have always underestimated me. That's quite substantial. She taps her keyboard. May I ask your occupation, Ms. Blake? Interior architect. I recently completed a boutique hotel redesign. I don't elaborate on the industry recognition or the bonus. Let them wonder. My signature looks foreign on the final papers, my hand trembling slightly despite my resolve. The key fob feels heavy in my palm. Solid. Real. Mine. Congratulations on your new Audi. Trevor walks me to my purchase, standing proudly beside it as if he had something to do with its creation. I catch my reflection again in the deep blue paint. The overhead lights create a halo effect around my figure. For a moment, I hardly recognize myself. There's something different about the set of my shoulders, the tilt of my chin. Back home, I park in front of my apartment building, unable to stop looking back at the car as I walk toward my door. It looks almost defiant under the streetlights. Inside, I pull out my phone and scroll to Instagram. My finger hovers over the camera icon, but I grab my jacket and head back outside. This needs to be done right. 30 minutes later, I'm at Cary Park. The Seattle skyline stretches before me, the Space Needle illuminated against the night sky. I position my new Audi with the city lights as backdrop, adjusting the angle until it looks perfect. The midnight blue exterior catches the city's glow like a mirror. I take several photos. The lighting, the composition, the message, until everything is perfect. I select the best one and write a simple caption. 30. A gift to myself. A promise I'm keeping. My thumb hovers over the post button. Am I being passive-aggressive? Will this look like I'm seeking attention? But then I realize I'm not posting this for them. I'm posting it for me. A documentation of this moment, the night I chose myself. I post it. The next morning, I wake to my phone buzzing with notifications. The Instagram posts spread overnight. Comments from colleagues, likes from friends, and, as expected, from family. A direct message from Mom. Emery, a new car? We need to talk. From Dad. Honey, was this a wise financial decision? From Camille. Sis, what are you doing? Everyone's worried. Worried. For 30 years, they forgot I existed. But now, suddenly, they're worried. Because I did something for myself, without asking their permission. Part of me feels guilty. Maybe I should have told them. Maybe this was childish. But another part, the part that's been silent for 30 years, whispers that I don't owe them an explanation for how I spend what I've earned. I don't reply. Not yet. I make coffee and look out the window at my Audi. In the morning light, it looks even more beautiful. My phone rings. Mom. I ignore it. It rings again. Dad. I ignore it. A third time. Camille. I take a deep breath and answer. Sis, are you okay? Camille's voice mixes genuine concern with something else. Upset? I'm perfect, Camille. But that car. Spending that much money. Mom and Dad are worried. I cut her off. I know. I saw your message. So? What's going on? Nothing's going on. I just celebrated my 30th birthday myself, since no one else remembered. Silence on the other end of the line. Oh, Camille says quietly. Sis, I'm sorry. I completely forgot. I finished the sentence for her. Mom and Dad too, as usual. That's not fair, Emery. 20 years, Camille. Since my 10th birthday. My voice is quiet but steady. Remember when my party was canceled for your recital? When Dad said, we'll celebrate next weekend. Sis, we never did. And yesterday, on my milestone 30th birthday, not a single person remembered. But for your piano recital, Mom and Dad commented among 78 likes. Silence again. Look, Camille says, her tone shifting slightly. I get that you're upset. But that car, Emery, isn't that a bit much? I mean, you could have used that money for what? I interrupt, my voice still calm. For you? That's not what I meant. But her pause tells me everything. Actually, Mom mentioned that you got a big bonus from your hotel project. We thought maybe you could help with my studio setup. You know how important my music is. There it is. Not an apology for forgetting my birthday. Not recognition of 30 years of being overlooked. Just disappointment that I spent their money on myself. My bonus. I say slowly. From my project. that I worked on for 8 months, is mine, Camille. Well, obviously. But family helps family. Her voice has that edge now. The one that appears when Camille doesn't get what she wants. You're right, I say. Family should help family. Which is why I'm sure you'll understand why I'm investing in myself right now. I hang up before she can respond. Murphy settings. Speed minus 15%. Pitch minus 1. Grandma's words echo quietly in my mind. When applause fades, what remains? Stillness. And truth. I spent 30 years waiting for applause. Now, in the stillness, I'm finding my own worth. Murphy settings. Speed minus 12%. Pitch minus 1. 3 days later, there's a knock on my door. Through the peephole, I see my parents and Camille standing there. Mom is holding something. Dad looks uncomfortable. Camille looks apologetic. I open the door. Emery. Mom begins. Let us talk. I step aside and let them in. Mom sets what she was carrying on the kitchen counter. A cake box. With trembling fingers, I lift the lid. Inside sits a chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. Written across the top in elegant blue script. Happy belated 30th birthday, Emery. We can't undo the past. Dad continues, eyes fixed somewhere over my shoulder. But your mother and I have been doing some thinking about how he pauses, searching for words, not been as attentive as we should have been. The understatement hangs in the air between us. 30 years of forgotten birthdays, overlooked achievements, invisible accomplishments reduced to not being attentive. Also, Mom adds, her voice taking on that familiar coaxing tone. We wanted to talk about this car situation. There it is. The real reason they're here. Situation? I repeat. Dad clears his throat. Sweetheart, your mother and I are concerned. $60,000 is a lot of money to spend impulsively, especially when Camille needs studio equipment. I finish for him. The room goes silent. Mom's smile falters. Well, we didn't want to bring that up right away, but since you mention it, family resources should benefit the whole family. Family resources, I say slowly. You mean my bonus from my project that none of you asked about until you wanted the money. That's not fair, Emery. Camille says. We're proud of your work. Are you? I ask. What was the project? She blinks. What? The project. The one I spent 8 months on. The one that earned me industry recognition. What was it? Camille glances at Mom and Dad. None of them answer. It was the Harborview Hotel. I say into the silence. A complete redesign of their lobby and common areas. Seattle Architecture Monthly called it a masterclass in blending historic preservation with modern luxury. The client has already recommended me for 3 more projects. I look at each of them. But you don't know that. Because you never asked. Camille steps forward, pressing her gift into my hands. Open mine first. Maybe you'll understand that we do care. Inside the wrapping paper, I find a sleek black frame. Behind the glass is a professional photograph of the hotel lobby I redesigned. The project that earned me that bonus. That gave me the courage to buy my car. That changed everything. Beside the photo is the review from Seattle Architecture Monthly, praising the bold vision and flawless execution. I had it printed and framed. Camille says, watching my face. I thought maybe you could hang it in your office. For a moment, I'm genuinely touched. Then I notice something. When did you get this printed? Yesterday, Camille says proudly. After I saw your Instagram post. Yesterday. 3 days after my birthday. After they realized I'd spent their money. Not because they wanted to celebrate my achievement, but because they wanted to guilt me into redirecting my resources. Thank you, I say quietly, setting the frame down. This must have been expensive. Oh, it was. Mom jumps in. But Camille insisted. She even used her own savings. Money she was saving for those microphones. The implication hangs heavy. See what Camille sacrificed for you? Don't you owe her something in return? I take a slow breath. We sit down to dinner. The conversation is stilted but calculated. Mom serves my favorite chicken marsala, something she's made countless times for Camille, but rarely for me. Dad asks about my current projects with awkward interest, though I notice he's really listening for financial details. Camille fills silences with stories from her music studio, each one subtly mentioning the equipment she lacks. We wanted to make up for missing your birthday, Mom says as she serves the cake, and maybe talk about how we can all support each other better. There's that phrase again, support each other. But we all know it only flows one direction. I set my fork down. It wasn't just my 30th birthday, Dad. The table goes quiet. Dad looks uncomfortable, eyes darting to Mom for rescue. I know, Mom finally says. We've missed a lot. Made you feel less important. Second place, I say quietly. Or no place at all. The cake sits half-eaten on our plates as I continue. I appreciate tonight. The cake. The frame. I really do. I look each of them in the eye. But I need you to understand something. I'm not looking for makeup celebrations or gifts designed to make me feel obligated. Obligated? Dad frowns. Emery, we're not. You came here hoping I'd feel guilty enough about the car to give Camille money for her studio. The words land like stones in still water. No one denies it. That's not. Mom starts. Mom, you literally mentioned family resources within 5 minutes of arriving. I turn to Camille. And this beautiful gift? You told me you used your microphone savings, which means I'm now supposed to feel bad and offer to replace that money. Camille's face flushes. I thought you'd appreciate it. I do appreciate it. But I also see it for what it is. I stand up, my voice remaining steady. For 30 years, I've been invisible unless you needed something. My achievements don't matter unless they benefit Camille. My milestones don't count unless they don't conflict with hers. I look at Dad, who still can't quite understand my career. Mom, who's trying but still sees me as Camille's support system. Camille, who's built her entire life on being the center of everyone's attention. What I want is respect, recognition that I exist independently, that my achievements matter for their own sake, that my presence in this family counts for something beyond funding Camille's dreams. Of course you count, Emery, Dad says. You've always counted. Have I? I ask. When was the last time you came to one of my design exhibitions? Or asked about my career without immediately calculating how it could benefit Camille? Silence falls again, heavier this time. I pull out my phone and open my notes app. Last year's Thanksgiving. You asked about my promotion, then immediately mentioned Camille needed help with her studio deposit. I scroll. Christmas 2 years ago. I mentioned the Morrison building project. Dad said, that's nice, but Camille's been invited to perform at the governor's ball. I keep scrolling. My 28th birthday. No one called. But the week before, you called 3 times asking if I could loan Camille money for a new piano. I look up from my phone. I started keeping track 2 years ago because I wanted to believe I was being unfair, that I was imagining the pattern. I show them the screen, pages of notes, dates, incidents, a systematic documentation of being erased. Mom's face has gone pale. You've been keeping records? I have, I say calmly, because I needed to see it clearly, to understand that I wasn't being overly sensitive, that this pattern was real. Things will be different now. Mom promises, reaching for my hand. I let her take it, but my voice remains steady. They already are different, because I'm different. I decide my worth now, not anyone else. And I decide how I spend my resources, time, money, energy, all of it. I gently pull my hand back. I love you all, but I won't be invisible anymore. And I won't be an ATM for Camille's career. The words hang in the air, not angry, just matter of fact. For the first time in my life, I feel the power shifting in this room. No longer the forgotten daughter seeking crumbs of attention, but a woman stating her terms. Fair enough, Dad says finally, though his voice carries a hint of defensiveness. We've got some catching up to do, though I still think you could have talked to us first. Mom nods, but I can see the calculation in her eyes. She's not quite there yet. Understanding, maybe. But truly seeing the pattern? That will take time. Camille raises her water glass, though her hand trembles slightly. To new beginnings? She doesn't that, and better birthdays this time. Maybe she realizes it would sound hollow. I lift my glass to meet hers, studying the faces around the table. My imperfect family, beginning to face the truth of what they've done. They're trying. I can see that. But years of patterns don't change in one conversation. And that's okay. I'm not waiting for their transformation anymore. The cake tastes sweet on my tongue. Not perfect, but good enough. Like this moment. Not everything I dreamed of. But perhaps the beginning of something more honest. To new boundaries. I amend, my voice strong. And to the truth that comes when applause fades. Murphy settings. Speed -10%. Pitch 0. 1 year later. The gentle ping of my phone wakes me. I squint at the screen, surprised to find a text from Dad. Happy birthday, Emery. Hope it's a good one. Simple. Straightforward. completely unlike last year's deafening silence. More notifications appear as I brush my teeth. Mom sent flowers. Camille wants to take me to lunch. My colleagues have planned something at the office. But the real difference isn't in the messages. It's in what happened last week. Dad called. Not to ask for anything. Just to ask about my current project. He listened for 15 minutes. Not the 20 I might have hoped for, but 15 more than last year. I've been trying to understand what you do, he'd said awkwardly. It's impressive, Emery. Trying. Not succeeding yet, but trying. Mom started following my professional Instagram account. She comments sometimes, though she still comments more on Camille's posts. Old habits change slowly. And Camille got a teaching position at a music academy. She's funding part of her studio herself, though she still accepts help from our parents. I'm working on it, she told me last month. Watching you set boundaries made me realize some things, but unlearning 30 years. It's harder than I thought. At least she's honest about it. The contrast with my 30th birthday strikes me like a physical sensation. Warm sunlight after a year of storms. I slide into my Audi, running my hand over the leather steering wheel. For a year now, this car has been my daily reminder of the moment I decided to value myself. Today, it carries me toward a birthday that others finally remember. At the design firm, my team surprises me with champagne and a towering chocolate cake. My assistant, Ben, holds up a toast to Emery, whose redesign of the Harborview Hotel just landed us the Westlake Tower contract. The client specifically requested you. The praise washes over me, and I accept it without deflection. Last year, I would have mumbled something self-deprecating. Today, I simply raise my glass. Thank you all. I couldn't ask for better colleagues. Later, Camille meets me at our favorite waterfront restaurant. She looks different somehow. More grounded. Less fragile. I reserved the table with the best view, she says, leading me to a window seat overlooking Elliott Bay. She hands me a small wrapped box. It's not much, but I bought it with my first teaching paycheck. That felt important. Inside rests a silver compass pendant. The card reads, "For the woman who found her own direction and helped me find mine." It's perfect, I say, genuinely touched. Camille reaches across the table. I've been thinking about what you said last year. About always being invisible. She pauses, her eyes glistening. I never realized what it cost you to cheer for me all those years, or how much I took for granted. She pulls out a small notebook. I started keeping my own records. Every time Mom and Dad prioritized me over you. Every time I accepted it without question. She opens it, and I see pages of dated entries. I wanted to see it clearly, to understand what you lived through. I still slip up sometimes, she admits. Last week, I almost asked if you could help with new sheet music. The old patterns are sticky, but I caught myself, and I bought the music myself instead. Tears blur my vision. Camille, I can't undo the past, and I'm not perfect at this yet, but I'm learning to be better. I clasp the pendant around my neck. We can't change the past. No, she agrees, but I can keep trying, even when it's hard. After lunch, I drive to Cary Park Viewpoint. The Seattle skyline spreads before me, the space needle piercing a sky unusually clear for September. My phone rings. Mom, happy birthday, sweetheart. Her voice is warm but cautious. Did you get the flowers? They're beautiful, Mom, thank you. A pause. Your father and I wondered if you'd join us for dinner this weekend. Nothing fancy, just family. And, she adds, a bit hesitantly, there's a new gallery downtown featuring local architects. I thought maybe we could go together? If you're in the exhibition, I wasn't sure if. I am, I say, surprised she knew to ask. And yes, I'd like that. Oh good. Relief floods her voice. I have to admit, Camille told me about the exhibition. I wouldn't have known otherwise. But I'm trying to. Pay more attention. It's not perfect, but it's something. Family. The word sits differently now. No longer weighted with expectation and disappointment, but with the tentative hope of something genuine. Still fragile, still imperfect, but maybe, slowly, becoming more real. Saturday would work. The invitation hangs between us. Not a demand disguised as a question, but a genuine request. The subtle shift feels monumental, even if the journey isn't complete. Back home, a package waits outside my apartment door. Camille's handwriting. I carry it inside, peeling back the brown paper to reveal a handmade scrapbook. Page after page documents moments I thought no one had noticed. My college graduation, my first design award, newspaper clippings about the Harborview project, but also, and this makes me cry, photos of me at 10 years old in that pink dress. At 15, alone at my own award ceremony. At 23, standing by myself at college graduation. A note in Camille's handwriting beside each photo. I should have been there. I'm sorry I wasn't. I see you now, and I'm learning to keep seeing you. A final note falls from between the pages. These are the moments I missed. The moments we all missed. I'm keeping this scrapbook not just to celebrate you, but to remind myself never to look away again. I see you now, Emery. I'm still learning how, but I won't stop trying. I trace my fingers over a photo of myself standing beside my Audi, taken the day I bought it. The moment I stopped waiting for validation and claimed it for myself. Murph AI settings. Speed -15%. Pitch -1. Grandma's words return now with full meaning. Stillness holds truth, not what applause demands. Simply what exists. When I stopped chasing their approval, I found something better. My own voice. My own worth. My own truth. Murph AI settings. Speed -10%. Pitch 0. The afternoon light slants through my window as I consider my evening plans. Mom and Dad's dinner invitation. And the gallery visit they've planned. A birthday gathering friends have organized at Elliot's Oyster House. Both options remain open, neither carrying the weight of obligation. For the first time, the choice is truly mine. Whatever I decide, I'll celebrate on my own terms. I stand before my mirror, fastening Camille's compass around my neck. My reflection shows a woman who finally understands that her worth never depended on family recognition. It was always there, waiting to be claimed. Are my parents fully transformed? No. Will Camille always remember? Probably not. But I'm not waiting for their perfection anymore. I'm building my own life, and they're welcome in it, on my terms. The journey isn't over, for any of us. But for the first time, I'm okay with that. My car keys glint on the counter, catching the light. The Audi wasn't just a purchase. It was a ritual, a ceremony of one, a promise to myself that I would never again wait for others to acknowledge my milestones. Some gifts change more than your possessions. They change who you are. And sometimes, slowly, imperfectly, they begin to change the people around you too. The change isn't complete. Maybe it never will be. But I'm no longer measuring my worth by their progress. I'm just moving forward. Thank you for spending this quiet moment with me. If you've ever had to draw your own boundaries, even when the people around you weren't ready, I'd love to hear your story in the comments.